Sciencewriter here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV Whiskey 1. Good vibrations. I have a question to ask you again. What was your first ham radio QSO? Over what distance was it? On what band? Using what amount of power, etc., etc. Prearranged QSOs don't count. What was the first QSO that you actually made by calling CQ or answering a CQ or in any other way that was not prearranged? And by prearranged, I mean, call up a friend and say, let's have a QSO across town or something like that. I remember mine. It was in 1966. I was licensed as a novice operator. Maximum allowable power was 75 watts. Plate power input. That's right, plate power input. I had a 50-watt transmitter, Johnson Viking Adventurer, in March of 1966. I got my novice class license, WN0, Ocean, Kilo, Victor, in Rochester, Minnesota, set up a 40-meter dipole in the backyard, and had a contact from Rochester, Minnesota, with a station in Zeeland, Michigan. And I believe it's Z Echo Echo Land, not Zealand as in New Zealand, but Zeeland, Zee. And I don't remember his call, anything like that, but I remember it was on 7.185 megahertz, which was part of the novice subband at 40 meters at that time. Novices could only operate CW, with the exception of 2 meters, on which they could also use voice, much of which at that time was still AM, amplitude modulation. But that was my first contact, a Hallicrafter's SX130 receiver, Sierra X-Ray 130, and a Johnson Viking Adventurer transmitter running 50 watts plate power input to a 40-meter dipole in the backyard. I think it was probably late in the afternoon, and I just remember running up the stairs, 12 years old, telling my parents, I had a contact, I made my first contact. And I believe I answered a CQ. I was not in the habit of sending CQ at that time. In fact, I still rarely do it. I usually answer other people's CQs. My favorite band, if I had my druthers these days, would be 160 meters, but I don't have the room for an antenna at this time and may never. But I can't operate 40 meters now, but I can operate 20 meters. That was my first contact. Crystal Control, 7.185 megahertz with a station in Zeeland, Michigan, probably 400 or 500 miles maybe distant, something like that, maybe 300 miles. But oh, what an experience it was. Stanjabalisco, W1GV, saying 73, which means best regards, of course, and so long, which, at the end of that QSO and almost every one of my other QSOs since. So long, diddy-da-da-da-da.